about the unity. There's nothing they can do with us, so ain't nobody moving me. Like that the king, we make it plain and simple. Bringing knowledge and fire and reality simple. Reality simple. My black people, it's all about the unity. There's nothing they can do with us, so ain't nobody moving me. Like that the king, we make it plain and simple. Bringing knowledge and fire and reality simple.
Now. Nobody's being delivered from anything. God ain't doing nothing for nobody right now. And gee, I wonder why. Because these folks are making noise.
You know, once again, I welcome y'all, and I'm here in St. Louis in live and living color with my brother Taalik. I just want to touch up on, you know, what's going on around the Black conscious community and, you know, what's going on all together with our condition, you know, as descendants of slaves born in America. You know, as far as dark-skinned people are concerned in this country. I just want to say this, you know, I'm really at the point right now that I really don't have enough room or tolerance for a bunch of, you know, fakery and, you know, a bunch of, you know, just straight up flip-flop type people, you know, who pretend like they really with the liberation of dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, but really, you know, they focus on so many different things and not stand focused on the core, you know, aspect, which is called liberation, that can free us, you know, from the oppression of 400 years of slave servitude and oppression that our people been in this country dealing with since, so history say, 1619. You know, but like I said, at this point in time, I really don't have the the room to really keep stomaching, you know, and dealing with these type of individuals, you know. And that's why yesterday I mentioned in one video that assumingly if this Operation Exodus campaign Mississippi don't work out, I'm just going to keep doing what I need to do to better myself and living my life much as possibly as far as in terms of the best way I can, you know. But I see that dealing with our people is hell, you know, and I really don't want to give up on the reality of us being liberated for once and for all from our over 400-year, you know, slave oppressor, you know. But I just have to say that we either gonna be about liberating ourselves for once and for all and, you know, getting on this soul train far as Operation Exodus Mississippi so that we can have something to work with on a large scale that can, you know, get us to where we want to be in terms of all the realities of opportunities that can be accomplished under that umbrella of Operation Exodus Mississippi, and not be individualists in terms of focusing on all these other different dissective things such as businesses, you know, and other personal agendas that don't have nothing to do with Operation Exodus Mississippi, you know. And this is the reason why I'm at the point right now that I'd rather just, you know, if I got to just deal with myself or just me and brother Taalik, I do that. If I deal with a whole bunch of other fake individuals, you know, and y'all could, you know, call me what y'all want to call me, you know, no disrespect to those who agree with this platform and is on board with this platform beside myself and brother Taalik. But I'm just speaking about those in terms of who they know who they are. I just leave it at that, you know. But I mean, I could care less what they say or think in regards of what I say, because at the end of the day, it ain't doing nothing to change the reality of the condition of our people, or what we still find ourselves at right now, at this very moment, even as I'm talking, you know. So, I mean, if you want to keep being a slave for eternity, you know, until you go to that place which slave master always promised that you will go to, which is called spiritual heaven somewhere above the clouds or whatever, then, hey, be my guest. But I know I want heaven here on earth, right where I'm at right now, still breathing. Because I don't know what's going to happen when I close my eyes for the last time, you know. And, you know, until we understand and realize that, you know, if Jesus, if Muhammad, if the mothership plane has not arrived in all these years, or 400 plus years since we've been on this sojourn of our struggle in captivity as a people, then why must we keep believing that they gonna come now? I mean, you know, the reality of the matter is that we are living exactly in a fictitious world called fantasy or illusion, which is exactly what it is. because we playing with our own lives basically right now, not realizing or not caring to realize that these Caucasians who are in power and that's controlling things, no matter how much we call them devils or serpents or whatever we choose to refer to them as, they still running shit. Excuse my French, but they still running things in this nation as well as around the world. And if they want to actually force us back into what they call chattel slavery, it ain't nothing we could do about it. Just like if they wanted to decide right now to take us to them FEMA camps that they got waiting on us across America and the mass graves to go with it, we ain't gonna be able to do nothing about that either. And that's just the reality of it. So, I mean, if you don't want to join on board with this, platform called Operation Mississippi and get on board with the Soul Train and let's make this happen, then, so we could take a state and control the politics of that state, which is Mississippi, so we could begin to grow in terms of creating our own reality away from where we're at now as a people, which we still are in captivity, of course. Then we just gonna remain in the same situation we are in, because all this other stuff we tried, far as Islam, Kemetictism, Nubianism, and other religions, it just ain't worked. Egyptology and all that, it just ain't worked. And it's still not working. It's just a feel-good situation for the moment, but it's not doing nothing to change our overall reality as a people. And right now I'm pressed for time. That's why I'm trying to keep it simple as possible with this video. But I would like to, address this issue some more. But we need to really get real about our situation or just simply die. Because we won't be the first nor last civilization to get destroyed. Matter of fact, for those of you that believe in religion, the Bible and Quran talks about civilizations that have been destroyed just within one moment. So we ain't no exception. Even history proves that other civilizations have been destroyed because of incompetency and lack of progress far as humanity goes. And we, as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, is no exception to that rule. So keep playing without, just keep playing. Just keep taking this for a game. Because liberation ain't no game. Revolution ain't no game. Yeah, some of us might even have to die to get to that point of a new reality away from the reality of where we at now. But hey, I would rather die doing that than die being a coward. And that's just straight up. So like I said, I'm at the point right now, I really don't have time or too much, as far as stomaching and tolerating a bunch of fakeness, whether it's on social media or around me in general, So, for those of you that may be offended, take it how you want, but the truth is the truth. And like I say, I like to give shout outs to my brother Taalik, and also Sister Rashida Strober and Brother Gary, who I enjoy being on the Soul Celebration with just this past weekend when I was with the brother Taalik Ibn'rad in the St. Louis area. So I said, just if you got anything you want to say or any questions, just get with me on this in the comment section, and we'll go from there. However, I just want to point this out because this is serious. We are in a very serious time as a people, and it's no more time to be playing games or worrying about who doing what and casting blame on people, or on each other. We ain't got time for none of that. Either we get this right or we keep being tools, whether it's to those who are benefiting off the suffering of our struggle, like even other so-called black people, or like Slave Master himself, as well as others who don't care nothing about us. So like I said, we could just keep taking this for some kind of game, but just keep watching. These people got a plan for us, and they executing it at this moment as I speak. So with that said, once again, I welcome y'all, and I'm here in St. Louis in live and living color with my brother Taalik. Descendants of slaves, but a dysfunctional one. And upon hearing other stories of dark-skinned descendants of slaves, as far as their personal family experiences are concerned, has inspired me also to make this video, because this video is very important, even for the purposes of our platform, which is Operation Exodus Mississippi, because in order for us to be even successful, once this get off the ground, assumingly in hopes that it do get off the ground, that once we take control of the state of Mississippi as far as its politics, the priority of the black family is going to have to be among other top priorities, because the black family in this country has been so destroyed. Of course, starting with what we know about in terms of history as far as chattel slavery in this country go. And it's been so destroyed and divided that, like they say, in order for us to come together, that term that our people have always used, well, progress starts in the home. And there is truth to that. And in order for us to strengthen ourselves as a people, it definitely must start in the home. And I can agree with that, And with that said, I have to say that, looking back on my own personal experiences with family, as a young man, growing up in two different big major cities, but while I was a baby or an infant, as some may say, even, I was being neglected, left for days without food, left for days without a change of diapers, that kind of thing, where I even was told that I suffered from malnutrition because of the incompetencies of the way that my parents were conducting themselves in terms of, being parents. And of course, at the time they were young and they were living their lives, which of course wasn't the best of lifestyles, which caused it not to be important enough to look after my, well-being as a child. And so, other family members at different periods of times had to take me in. And at one point that was working in behalf of me being able to have a normal childhood growing up, until my one of my parents came from another big city and retrieved me on my 7th birthday, which I'll never forget, and took me back to that city to be, so I could be with both parents. And, the days of my childhood resumed, unfortunately, to go further downhill. It even affected my education, which eventually led to me years later of dropping out of high school. Also because of other life pressures and circumstances that were unfortunate at the time, which today is affecting me, but it's all a part of the experience, because I'm not mad. It's because it was part of my learning experiences. And even though I'm going back to school, to try to rectify that mistake I made as well, it's all good. But at least I'm doing it now, and that's the main thing. But pretty much along the way, before up to now, my life was being destroyed as a result of my raising, which included child abuse and, questions that I still have about me being abused as a child, being left, as a fatherless child because my, paternal one, was in and out of prison. And unfortunately, even now that I'm an adult, he is back in prison serving time for, mistaken decisions that he made in his own life. But, and it has also even further played a part in our separation. And other things he did which caused my name to be ostracized through parts of his paternal side of the family, which caused me to be judged in very negative ways, and caused people to have negative opinions of me, which they used to capitalize off of in terms of their abuse toward me as a family member and as a human being, foremost. And to this day, as a result of that, I am separated from even dealing with them. It's only very few people in my biological family circle, mainly on my paternal side, that I even deal with or that I even stay in contact with as a result of this. because me and my mother's side, which is my maternal side of the family, definitely did not have a good relationship. Going back, starting from the circumstances from day one of when I was born, and as from the time period of me being a child. And, you know, and other things that came along with it later, unfortunately, especially after my mother passed away 10 years ago. You know, so, I mean, it's even impaired any future relationships, far as me being able to have with younger people in my family, such as my grandniece. And of course, this has impaired any chance of me at all of having a relationship with her mother, which is my niece, the daughter of my deceased sister, who I was not so close with growing up, or even once after we became adults, because of dividing family circumstances surrounding that situation as well. And, it hurts me because, I do know that there are families out there, and I'm talking about mainly of those families that are descendants of dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America that do have, in some cases, stable relationships among themselves. But among many of us, which I could say in the millions, also that's not the case. And like I say, of course, slavery played a part in it. And even though there are some black families that are in a way as considered doing well off than others, but the reality is that the impact of the history of slavery in this country still has an effect on those families as well that are considered more stable than other black families that are not as stable or fortunate. So, I mean, we cannot get that fact twisted. But at the same time, because of the history of the dysfunction in black families, like I say, which has affected me personally, even to the point where, I feel like they would abandon me if it came to some member on the outside of the family attacking me in any type of way. They will actually, abandon me even if they saw someone who was not kin to the family attack me. And I ain't just only talking about necessarily in a physical way, but as well as in a verbal way. And I know this even from, experience. And unfortunately, in my heart, a part of me has had the same feelings, but at the same time, because I do have some integrity about myself as a human being, I wouldn't just stand there and let nobody do nothing to them or attack them. But once I'm done, making sure that they are not attacked or hurt, then I'm just going to go on about my business and keep moving along. Like I've been doing, far as not having nothing to do with them, because I know that just like it's not healthy for me to deal with outsiders, it's definitely not healthy for me to deal with a lot of individuals in my own biological family. And as I mentioned before, with my paternal one, especially, because I still even got issues with the way that he handled my mother while I was a child, and even after I became an adult, you know. So there are deep wound scars there, you know, that's in place of that. And it's been times, to be honest, where, you know, in the back of my mind, something was like, you need to, you know, commit retribution toward them, even if they are your family members, and deal with them like they just anybody else on the streets because of certain things that has been done to me by family members. But once again, because I am a person of integrity, and because of that I accept the fact that it's just certain things I have to learn how to keep learning how to deal with as far as moving on, you know, in terms of bettering my own life without causing myself to get caught up, even with the possibility of catching a case and going to prison to do some time over another family member. At that, you know, I choose to just not even bother with taking that option upon myself, you know. But knowing that other people have wiped out whole entire families that were related to them biologically, you know, I wondered or have thought sometimes, what if I was that same type of individual who took that initiative to do something like that? But at the same time, I realized what the results would be: jail, death, or sitting in a prison cell for the rest of my life. And it's just not worth it, you know. But at the same time, you know, I know that these things can happen because of the circumstances that we as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America have came from, in terms of slavery, Jim Crow, discrimination, and all these other things that have mentally and physically and emotionally broke us down to cause us to even want to hurt our own families, let alone other dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America that's not kin to us biologically. You know, I mean, I've heard stories personally where brothers have killed each other. Brothers I'm talking about that came up out the same mother's womb, killed each other over drug deals gone bad. Cousins robbing cousins. You know, you know, cousins or relatives setting their own flesh and blood up to be hurt by somebody else that's not even kin to their own families. I mean, stuff like that, you know. I mean, this is part of the paradigm in the so-called Negro family here in America. And that's just a reality that once we do take control, like I say, of a state such as Mississippi, by taking over the politics of that state, we're going to have to place the black family as one of the top priorities so that some of this stuff could be straightened out. Because if it's not, the foundation alone, as far as this platform go, which will be a part of creating a reality like that, would fizzle away quickly. And you know, And like our brother Taalik always say, then the old narrative that's always used, especially by the racists, see, them Negroes can't even govern themselves. Look at them. They can't even hold their families together. They can't even unite together to even be able to govern themselves without us, watching over them and being their lords and masters. And this has always been a narrative for us as a people in this country, and we have to end that. We definitely have to end that. And it definitely is going to start with the black family. And part of it starting with us all in general as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. And that's one reason why I'm making this video, because this does definitely relate to how our campaign, or rather the operation of Exodus Mississippi, is going to stay alive once this ideal gets off the ground. Family is definitely going to, like I say, it's going to have to be a top priority to help this ideal in reality stay alive once it get off the ground. Because like I say, looking back on history, when I even think about the black organizations in this country, like that was started by people like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Noble Drew Ali, the Honorable Marcus Musea Garvey, and other so-called pro-black organizations, including the one I was in called the Nuwapians, under Dr. Malachi Z. York. Members of those organizations suffered, not only within those organizations, unfortunately, because of incompetency of leadership and the incompetency of membership, period, but also because of rejection from their own families, because they thought they was doing the right thing for a right purpose, and like I said, we're gonna have to really take a deep look at ourselves, especially once this platform of Operation Exodus Mississippi get off the ground. We're definitely, once again, as I reiterate, we're gonna have to make the ideal, as far as the black family is concerned, one of our top priorities. Because like I said, we can't hold our families together, then we definitely ain't going to be able to govern ourselves as a whole. And that's a fact. As our brother Taalik Ibn'rad would even say, that's a fact. So, like I said, I see how families treat each other in the black community. I've traveled quite a bit of places around the country, even including here where I'm at, where it's not that many of us as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, and we still don't know how to properly hold ourselves together as families because of infighting, jealousy, envy, even which result, like I say, into violence against one another. Like I've said earlier before, where we're willing, to kill our own flesh and blood, sister, brother, uncle, mother, father, over money, even over, you know, I mean, it has been fathers who's fell out with sons over women. What kind in the black community? It has been mothers, even in the case of my own biological family, or part of my biological family who I do not deal with, that has fell out because one was trying to get with a companion that they was having a relationship with. This type of crap, you know. And I mean, it's just crazy. We're willing to kill each other, as they say, just like, you know, niggas who don't even know each other. Or let me rephrase that, because I usually really don't like using that word, especially on this platform. But let me say this, because that word is very degrading to us as a people. So I really, period, don't like using that word, because it's very degrading to us as a people, of course, which was given to us by our 400-year-old slave oppressor. But like I say, you know, we have to understand that it's no different when we act like niggas. Just using that word as an example, it's no different when we act that way toward each other in the street as to when we act that way among our own family members or our own closest immediate family members in the home. I mean, you know, you got fathers and sons that are at war with each other, ready to kill each other. You know, I've been incarcerated where I seen where a father and son was in conflict odds with each other, actual conflict odds with each other, a father and son. And I'm talking about these were descendants of slaves born in America. So, I mean, let's not get this twisted. We are very divided as a people when it comes to our families, as well as other things that have kept us so divided all together as a people. But definitely the family structure. And you know, when the heroin and crack cocaine eras of the 1970s and 80s swept through many black communities throughout this country, that definitely did also play a part in destroying the black family structure in this country. And as a result of that, you could see it, because you could see the younger generation from those families and why they act the way that they act incompetently, especially in the uncivilized manners that they carry themselves in. You know, the last time I seen my own grandmother, I saw her being disrespected by my grandniece. You know what I'm saying? As far as just saying stuff to her that I wouldn't have said to my grandmother when I was her age. And I'm talking about my grandniece was born in the early 2000s. I think of it, I was born in the late 1960s. I would have never disrespectfully said the things to her in a manner that my grandniece had said to her in front of me and in front of her own mother. You know, and as a result of this, you know, it's because of the dividing up of the black family, which also mass incarceration, I want to add on, has a lot to do with this fact as well. You know, and, you know, I remember, you know, hearing about a situation that took place in Detroit, Michigan some years ago, where a brother killed his own son. And when, you know, he was apprehended by the law, the first thing he told him was basically he didn't want the child to live in a suffering world like this. This is why he killed him, basically, in one whole nutshell. This was his story. And when I think about that, you have a lot of parents in the black community. If they ain't doing it that way, they even throwing their babies in the garbage cans. If not worse, cutting them up into body parts, sticking them up in freezers. You know, like this one sister once again in Detroit, Michigan did, which she's now in prison for. You know, her children, you know, killed a couple of her children, cut they, like I say, and took a couple of their body parts and put it in the freezer. You know, that why would you want to do that to a child? If you hate a child that much, why did you even lay up and have them? You know? And I mean, this is the thing. And this is the way I even feel about my situation, even now at 50. You know? And though, you know, I have a certain amount of love, of course, for those who were responsible for producing me in terms of me being brought in this world, you know, but at the same time, the truth is the truth. I got to tell the truth. I wish they didn't even think about conceiving me. They should have just left me be. And I'm pretty sure that there are countless numbers of us, and particularly those of us who are dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, that say the same thing every day. You know, whether we know it or not, but they say the same thing every day because of the conditions that we face as a people anyway, with all this racism, with all this discrimination, and all this other stuff going on against us. These so-called black code laws, gerrymandering laws, and all this other stuff, you know, that's oppressing and suppressing us. That increases the bitterness in us just for even existing in the state that we exist in as a people, you know. So, you know, like I said, we go through that enough, and then to have to go through hell with being rejected and despised and hated by our own flesh and blood families definitely don't help to make matters any better, you know. And you know, like I said, this thing here is very real. This is a real situation, you know. And honestly, I don't respect no man or no woman to bring a child in this world just to desert them, you know, in the ways that I've described, even with my own personal situation. You know, I mean, I could tell other stories where I was left locked in the apartment all day without no food, couldn't even get out the front door or even the back window of the apartment because of the way things were secured in the apartment. The only way I'd have made it up out of there if I was able to know how to call 911. And I'm talking about when I was like 9 years old. You know, I'm talking about being left in situations like at the age of 7. In, you know, deserted spots where I could have easily been, you know, spotted and kidnapped and never been seen again. That type of stuff. You know, so like I said, you know, for me to have survived this and to be able to share my story, hopefully this would even be an inspiration, especially to the younger generation of children who are dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, that they, learn that, hey, this is a part of who we are as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. It's unfortunate, but this is the reality, especially as a result, which started with slavery, which started with Jim Crow and mass incarceration, and these other elements that is constantly, every day, keeping us divided as black families. I hope this be an inspiration to them, because they are the future. And this is why here at Operation Exodus, Mississippi, why we're so, entrenched in a passion of wanting and is willing to do something about our situation so that we could create a new reality where our younger generations won't even have to go through nothing like that, where they're being protected family households, protected environments all together, where they could grow up and have normal childhoods and grow into having normal adulthoods. And of course, once again, this didn't just merely start with us, because we got these habits, of course, from our Caucasian slave master. But it's not no excuse for us today. We have a chance to change this around. We're not in the confined shackles of chattel slavery, or as I would put it, in the physical confined shackles of chattel slavery, where we ain't got no choice. We got a choice today. We still may not be free like we want to be, but merely we do have a choice to where we could change our reality and truly become free for once and for all from all this. Because we got to understand and remember, when we was so-called freed from slavery in the year of 1865, I think it was the 13th or 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution that was amended with a clause, of course, that said that once we became convicted for a crime, that we were subjected again by law to force free slave labor. So basically, this is the catalyst behind the mass incarceration thing of so many of us, which, like I say, is dividing mothers from daughters, which is dividing fathers from sons, and stuff like that, which is why we see so many of our younger generation being fatherless as well as motherless, raising each other on the streets. They ain't even reached near the age of 18, and they trying to raise each other. You got kids having kids. This type of craziness. I mean, this is what we've become as a result, of what's been dealt to us for over 400 years as a people in this country. But like I said, we have a choice to where we can do something about it. Because it's not like I say, or like I tried to say before, it's not like we're just totally chained down as our ancestors were during chattel slavery, where they didn't have no choice at all in the matter. We have somewhat of a choice today in the matter to change this. And we need to get on the ball before it's too late, before they decide that we be put back into chattel slavery, or better yet, FEMA camps, and mass graves, which they got waiting on us. FEMA concentration camps and mass graves is what's going to be, the catalyst of our total demise, since everything else ain't worked. Like I said before in another video from last night, since slavery didn't work, since the heroin and crack cocaine epidemic didn't work in terms of destroying us. I mean, even now with the mass incarceration rate of black people in this country, that is led up into the millions of our people being locked up across this country in federal and state, penal institutions. I have to say that we have an opportunity to make this a new reality by getting on board of the Soul Train with this campaign called Operation Exodus Mississippi, so that we can take control of a state, far as its politics, and go from there to change our reality. And I mean, it is what it is. This is also adding along to what this operation platform is about, far as Operation Mississippi, or Operation Exodus Mississippi, rather to say. Operation Exodus Mississippi, far as taking the state, covers all this in terms of us, creating a new reality away from what I've just spoken about in this title video of the Negro family. And it covers every other possibilities of opportunities and dreams, that we can be able to grasp hold of once we get control of a state such as Mississippi. So like I said, we're going to have to really make this choice. And, we ain't got too much time left. Matter of fact, we may not have no time at all left with the way things is going with this country. Because anything can happen in this country, which at the right given time or opportunity, these Caucasians could decide to go ahead and sacrifice us as 44 plus 70 million dark-skinned descendant of slaves born in America.